So understanding risks, understanding the rewards. We always keep talking about what happens when we come across a situation where the reward is very risky, and it's very weird because again, from a conservative side of things, I have a tendency to say, okay, let's go for it.
Being a business owner, you have to kind of set the goals on your own. You have to say that this is what I'm gunning for, right? Like
Yes.
at this timeline, I want to achieve this. That's one of the things that's very different from what we're doing now. When I was doing these two other businesses, it didn't really go anywhere, and I think the reason is that it felt like I was waiting for someone to give me guidance on what I should be doing, or at least giving me, okay, you should do this. Someone to give me direction instead. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of the reasons why it didn't really pan out, is because I had that mindset where I wasn't taking initiative of putting in deadlines, and we have to meet the sales goals and everything, which is very different from how we're running Virtua. Hey everyone,
Welcome to Outsourcing and More with
Penny and
Francis. We're glad you're listening because we've got a lot to talk about: business, tech, investments, business mobile apps, web platforms, and all the latest trends in the outsourcing industry and more.
we'll give you tips, insights, and strategies on how to navigate the world of entrepreneurship and the gig economy.
So if you own a business, whether it's big or small,
A brand new startup,
or you're part of the huge outsourcing community as a tech professional, a VA, or an employer,
better start subscribing because this is the podcast for you.
so let's start achieving more. Hello, everybody. and
Hello
welcome back
everyone.
to another episode of Outsourcing and More. And you are with me, Francis, and
My name is Penny.
it sounded like you weren't sure, but okay. How have you been?
uh, doing okay. Running a business, it's always an adventure every day.
It
That's
is an adventure.
that's how I choose to
Actually,
look at it.
actually, I'm looking at you now. You sounded like you just came from a marathon. It must have
It's
been
just
some.
back
It,
to back meetings. That's just
yeah, it has
how
been.
yeah.
You know what? And it's so funny because I know about those back-to-back meetings. Most of them I was with you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But it is one of those days, isn't it? But
Yeah.
I just wanted to say hello to everybody in audio land, and we just wanted to welcome you back. This is another episode, and we are feeling our oats. It's so weird that I started having this like little weird dry cough, just in the middle of the day, and I think are you okay? Like, how are you?
No, I'm feeling sick as well. And if you remember our meeting earlier, we had
Yeah.
someone sick join us. And we have this
Uh-huh.
saying that you can actually get infected online through a Zoom meeting.
Oh
So
my
I'm
Zoom
pretty
calls are
sure.
an infectious Zoom call.
Yeah,
Oh my god, Kenneth!
I'm pretty sure it's all coming from Kenneth at this point.
Shout out to Kenneth, lovely IT guy.
Yes.
He's a baby of the team. But yet, it's so funny that this is how we choose to segue to our current topic. But it I wanted to say it's so weird um that you show up day in, day out. Rain or shine, in sickness and in health. Oh my God, I did marry you, didn't I?
Kinda. Kinda. We actually have papers, you just didn't know that you signed them.
We do. Oh my God, we do have papers and we both signed it. Oh my God. Did I
And
take your last name or did you take my last name?
no, I chose to use my last name. No, but and what we're talking
No,
really about here is not a marriage contract. We're not married, but we do
we're not
have
married.
business
Although she
registration.
wishes. Lol.
Sometimes, sometimes. No, we do
Because it
have a
would just
business.
make life so much easier. But yes,
Oh yeah.
sorry, you were saying?
No, no, no. So it's a business registration, just so everyone knows, because some people and some kids think that we are married. We're not. It's just a business
Some people do.
registration, but it does cement like now that we're business owners, right?
For
Because of
yes,
the
and for
because of the
forever
business.
linked with each other. We have
Yes.
this very odd situation where we're 50-50 in a company,
Mhm.
and we've never had the proverbial uh breakdown. It's really, I mean, I want to say that it's nice that we have that sort of synergy, but also the thing that I wanted, like, just really go back to, you show up day in, you day out. I've known you for the past X number of years. Let's
Mm.
not say how many, but we've basically shown up, right? And I feel like it's very different, considering that now that you kind of own your business. It's weird because sometimes it feels like, do I actually own a business, or am I just now a slave to uh, the business? Yeah, because
If
it
you
it
remember, it took us a while to even admit to ourselves that we own a business, right? And
that is true.
it's probably because of actually the mindset that we have, like at the very
That we
start
were
and
just
now,
we're
and it's very different than the mindset that we have now.
very different from the mindset that we had now, and we did learn from that experience, and finally being able to accept that we are part. It sounded like we went through therapy, didn't we? Doesn't it?
No, not really. I think for us, the mindset between, when we were employees, and then freelancers, and then business owners, the in between the freelancer to business owner, I think for me it became like the mindset shift. It was really really gradual.
It
I
was very
couldn't
gradual
really pinpoint a specific moment where I said,
when it
okay,
happened.
I
Like,
have a business owner mindset now. Like,
yeah.
I think it was very gradual. It was like one thing at a time. And yeah, I just can't pinpoint a specific time where I said, okay, okay, I'm ready to say that I'm a
Now,
business
is there
owner
a
now.
full story for that?
Full story.
If only there's a full story for session for that. But yes, kindly, since we've always started out this way, we haven't, again, one of those days where we're starting into our conversation when we haven't really introduced the topic yet.
Mm-hmm.
But today's topic is the mindset shift from employee to business owner, and that's exactly what we were talking about, because we get a chance to discuss the topic a little bit, see how familiar we are with, or how we want to approach things, and it
Mm.
kind of gives you like this little introspection of wait, so how did that happen to me or to
Transition
us?
between, yeah, employee
When
to
did we
business owner.
transition and became they thems? Yes, I'm kidding. um,
No, what
uh,
how did it happen for you? Because I did mention that for me, I don't think there was a specific moment that I said, okay, now I'm a business owner. But what about you?
I think I was in denial for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, no, I think it's because we've been in denial for a long time, because I've kind of always wanted to just be I'm like a regular person who just happens to sort of like a
Who just
trust fund
happens to do
baby,
this. Wow, trust
like a
fund.
trust fund baby, like a
Hi
Lara
mom, hi
Croft.
dad.
Hi mom,
If you
I'm
had a
dad.
trust fund, I
I
would have
made
married
it.
you now. No,
I made
but
it.
yeah,
Look at me.
I think how Virtua happened for us was a bit gradual, but you did have like businesses before, right?
We had attempts at businesses.
Yeah, same,
you know,
same.
it,
And I
it,
think,
it,
mhm. Yeah, and I think the number one thing that was different, like with Virtua now, that it's scaling and growing versus the businesses that I had before, was really the mindset. I think back
yes.
then I really had, because I my sister and I had this jewelry business, and then I also had this like fitness shirts apparel
I did. You never
business.
sent me a You never sent me a fit Manila shirt.
But anyway, I think the biggest difference was the mindset for me.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it's being a business owner, you have to kind of set the goals on your own. You have to say that this is what I'm gunning for, right? Like
Yes.
at this timeline, I want to achieve this. That's one of the things that's very different from what we're doing now. When I was doing these two other businesses, it was it didn't really go anywhere. And I think the reason is that it felt like I was waiting for someone to give me guidance on what I should be doing, or at least giving me, okay, you should do this. Someone to give me direction instead. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of the reasons why it didn't really pan out, is because I had that mindset where I wasn't taking initiative of putting in deadlines, and we have to meet the sales goals and everything, which is very different from how we're running Virtua.
I think it's also hard for a lot of people. Like if you didn't go to business school,
Hmm.
I think a lot of people would think that you know, like what does it really take to put up a business? And a lot of people say, okay, if I had the money, I would have a business, or if I had a business
Mm-hmm.
idea, I would have a business. If I have a strategy, I would have a business. But not a lot of people actually realize, how much work goes to putting up a business. So much so that, sometimes they find out that, and it. I'm really talking more about like really different areas. So please don't generalize what I'm saying. Some people leave, like being employed and taking orders from other people
Mm-hmm.
to having your own business and taking orders from yourself. And now you're taking orders from yourself. You're working more hours. You're working more hours. You're working weekends. You're practically married to the business, and it become and it becomes uh more, maybe harder than they imagined. That, because I have seen a lot of people like go from being employed to having their own business and then going back to employment,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because they said it's harder to own your business than to actually be employed, which I think the failure really is to take your
Mindset.
mindset
Yeah.
from being an employee to having the mindset of owning your own business. Because again, that's the biggest difference uh, for myself, is the mindset. You don't just change. And again, if you don't come from business school, you just think, you know, oh, we just need 50,000. And a lot of businesses actually try to get started that way. Like, those ads saying, the franchise ads,
Mm-hmm.
and say, oh, 35,000, you now have your own business. And people think it's that easy when it's not.
Yeah. No, no, it's not. And you did say, people going back to employment, and I do know a couple of people doing that, and only because when you're employed, right? And I mentioned this earlier, you're kind of given direction and given guidance on as to what your responsibilities are,
Hmm.
and as a business owner, your responsibilities are everything.
It's everything.
You may not be doing everything, but you're responsible for everything,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
And it's not a
Right?
surprise
As an
that there was a
employee,
point in your life that you did actually do everything.
yes,
And
yes,
going back
especially
to
when
those,
you're just starting out. Yeah,
yeah,
and as an employee, you're really, when you're hired as an employee, you're given a job scope, a set of responsibilities. These
you have
are
a
the
nine to
things that
five.
you're going to do. Of course, the skill set is going to be different every single time, or you're going to grow in that skill that you're hired for,
Yeah.
but you kind of stay
And
in
if you're
your
nine to
lane.
five, you're actually encouraged to stay within your 9 to 5. Like, I mean, even for
Yeah.
us, right? The question about like, this is what we're paying you to do. This is what we're asking you to work on. We're not really asking for
Mm-hmm.
more or less than what we ask you to work on. So basically, we're telling them, your 9 to 5, do your 9 to 5. Don't give us anything else unless you're asking for something else. But that's a conversation for another time. Even we as business owners, you try to say, this is what we're paying you for. This is what we expect to get from you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again,
Yes.
as employees, you have your 9 to 5. What's the other canonical thing about being employees is you have steady paychecks.
Yes.
That's usually what a lot of people do. Like a lot of people actually, and I do remember this. Like, I had a friend one time who sort of gave up his business, or was it because it was the pandemic? I can't remember which one, but let's say I do remember this one giving up his business to go back to working because again with the uh yeah, it was the pandemic, but because of the what do you call it, the it was the pandemic, times were insecure, right, and he needed something
Mm.
secure, and the pandemic wasn't really giving. I mean, a lot of businesses failed during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it was
Yes.
easier to go back to a 9 to 5 because, regardless of what he does this. The business that he worked for is surviving and is paying. I mean, we were one of those lucky businesses to
Yeah,
actually
lucky ones.
thrive
Yeah.
during the pandemic. And wait, was that the story for it? Because I'm really trying to make sure that my anecdotes aren't fibs. But I do remember this. That I think we did hire somebody who gave up on his own business or went back to a nine to
I
five.
think we've done hiring for people who actually have their own businesses, but their businesses haven't taken off yet.
I haven't
Like
taken off yet.
live selling. Yeah, I think
Cafes.
cafes. Yes.
Yeah, I do remember
Yes.
that. Yeah. But and that's what also I guess that's what some people also do as well. Like they have they're trying to get a business on offline off not offline. They're trying to get a business off the ground offline.
Hmm.
Trying to get a business off the ground. But at the same time you also need the stability of you know of
Of the yeah,
of a
of
of
a
a
steady
steady
paycheck.
paycheck. Yeah. I mean, I can't say that that's so. Where does that put that person? Is it an employee mindset or a business owner mindset or a weird hybrid? But anyway, as employees, you do have like very limited scopes and vision. I wouldn't say
Yes.
that as an employee you have a limited vision of uh what the what the company does. But usually, you're not required to do that. It's
I
nice
think
that
the
you do.
one.
It's nice that you do.
Mhm.
But sometimes having an idea of what the big picture is can also become a hindrance based on where you are. Like you can't be, you know, frontline and
Mhm.
go up to the company owner and say, you know what, I think the business should go in this direction.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah, you're very limited as to what the scope or
yeah,
what actually you're able to control within the business, as opposed to being a business owner. You're just really in control of everything.
yeah. I guess it would be nice, if you kind of have that and you say, I think the company should go in this direction, but rarely would you ask business goal
I mean,
decisions.
sometimes you can. Like there are employees who have,
The feedback
and
suggestion boxes.
it's a core, no, it's a core value. It's a value called ownership. So some do have that competency, that their ownership competency is really really strong, and so if you leave the entire department to them, it'll grow, or it'll be able to fulfill what it needs to fulfill.
Yep.
But the difference is that as a business owner, you're not just looking at one area. You're looking at all of the different areas, whether it's your product, whether it's your hiring, finance or everything. You're looking at everything,
Right. So who
right?
are we actually talking to here? I mean, who
We're talking
exactly
to
are we
me.
trying to talk to? Because I wanted to see
Kidding.
I wanted to see this as
Mm.
little bits of being anecdotal and trying to maybe talk to an audience out there, or maybe wanting to, um, maybe they want to make the leap from let's not even talk about the from they're making the leap to being their own boss, being a business owner, right?
Mhm. Um, hmm.
I guess what I'm saying
You know
is,
what? What's
oh yeah, go.
mm. No, you know what? What's the like? I what I think was the last thing that I needed to develop, to say that I actually am a business owner. I think it's the risk taking,
Mm-hmm.
because you're more of a risk taker than I am. I'm a little bit more conservative in my moves, but you're more of a risk taker, or maybe you more of the risk taker, and I rein you in. Maybe that's how it
I was
goes.
about to say, or maybe you're too conservative and I'm the one drawing you out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, you are.
Yeah,
I
I
think I
think it's
think you
a I
are,
think it's a
but
glass
that's
half
like
full situation.
that's one of the thing like that's one of the last things that I needed to develop, because in business there's a lot of uncertainty, in being uncertain, there's a lot of anxiousness that's related to it. But allowing myself to be more, okay, we know this is a risk, but it's a calculated risk. We've thought about what the consequences would be, when we let go of a client,
Yeah.
right? um we thought about the consequences would be, there is a risk
Mhm. But
of
it's
this
a but it's
happening,
a
but
risk that we can afford
it's a
to.
very, very, yeah, it's a very thought out risk. But because it's going to be beneficial, or at least um will be better in the long run for our company, then let's go ahead and take it,
I
right?
never thought.
I,
I honestly never
Mhm.
thought that there will come a time where we would actually fire a client. I mean, the very definition of it was the very definition of what happened. If it's amicable, it was amicable, yes, but it's essentially what happened, right? And I thought maybe if we were any smaller, if we were any more immature than we were back
Mm,
then, would we have made the same decision that we did? Because some people are like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what does, profit is profit." Because I mean, honestly,
yeah,
we literally had to let go of of a lot of revenue at the time. But again, making all of those big blackboard list of pros and cons, you really couldn't help but see like this is the actual decision that we needed to make. So why were we so afraid to make that decision? And it's not like, it's just funny because uh I just literally never thought that, that you would come to a point where, I never imagined I'd be making that decision, as weird as it was.
hmm,
you know. But going back, so understanding risks, understanding the rewards, we always keep talking about what happens when we come across a situation where, the reward is very risky. And it's very weird because, again, from a conservative side of things, I have a tendency to say, okay, let's go for it. But you have the good common sense to say maybe let's not pursue it
I'm
because,
very just cautious.
huh?
I'm just cautious.
No,
I'm just
I mean, you
cautious.
have a healthy amount of caution. I've never seen somebody with an abundance of caution as anything other than bad. Because again, we may be one business, but there's two people operating it, which is like, you have
Hmm.
the best of both worlds. You have Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana. Sorry, which one's the artista? I can't remember. I can't even remember.
And yeah, I know.
Never.
Miley Cyrus.
No, yeah, I mean, who was the regular kid? The regular version of. Because the
I don't
never
know.
mind. I
I
don't even
didn't
want to
watch
go
it.
go
Yeah.
back there. But it feels like I feel like one of the best synergies that we've had there was when you have the best sides of decision making because you always say, oh, but you draw me out of my shell, but I say you rein me in, so you prevent me from making reckless decisions. So it's actually really good. But that's although that's besides the point of what we're talking about. We do understand and talk about risks and rewards when it comes to
Hmm.
to running our business. So again, when you moved on, the other thing that we want to talk about is understanding the bigger picture, right? As employees, you can say that you have an understanding of the bigger picture as well, because a lot of companies actually share what the bigger picture is, that
Yeah.
is the forward facing one. So you can understand, yes, this is what the company is doing. This is what I'm contributing to the company. And, as employees, you contribute exactly as much as you can as an employee. You're a cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
As business owners, you're, sorry, you're driving the machine forward. That's a point of saying parang
Yeah.
being able to give being able to give marching orders. It's being able to say this is what our long-term goals are. This is what we're going to do to grow the company and move it in the next into the next direction, right? So And sometimes it's not even about, and it's not even about, like during the pandemic, I really wanted to say, is it hunker down and move forward, because we had plans that we didn't choose to pursue at that time because of the uncertainty that the pandemic did. I keep talking about the pandemic as if it just happened. How long ago was it?
I just did a few years ago. Well,
I mean, it kind of
yeah,
feel
it
like
just did. It's fine.
it, you can still say that it's fairly recent. And I mean, because sometimes in recent memory, it's like, do you even remember wearing masks anymore? Um, but
I still do. But I think the reason why you keep going back to the pandemic because that I think that was
it was
also
a
like
big
those
first big
years were our
upset
turning point. I think like it's also one of like the period where it's a turning point for us where we're saying okay, we have a company now.
we did.
I think that's the reason why you keep going back to the
Yeah, that
pandemic.
might have been that
Yeah, the
actual
company. It's
shift, because not only did we, like I said, I was fully prepared. Honestly, I was fully prepared to say, let's make our decisions along these lines. But I think I was talking to you back then. If whatever happens, we did our best. Also moving forward, but also kind of trying to understand, like, one of these days, our clients just gonna say, "Oh, we're folding," and we can't. I was just preparing for that, to be honest. But that's also the thing, being able to think of the big picture, trying to think of the positive. Nothing was happening, but I was already preparing scripts to talk to agents, like, oh guys, this happened, they cannot afford to, because it was happening to other businesses left and right. Yeah, you understand that that's what's happened, that's what was
yeah.
happening at the time. So big picture,
Yeah.
it's understanding, it's being able to, some people, maybe in term.
And
Mhm.
even like knowing what's happening in your industry, not just in the climate where there's political,
Mhm.
like even what's happening with your industry, right? Because as an employee, sometimes you just you clock
I walk
in,
in,
you do
I do my
your
script,
calls,
I
right?
take my lunch break.
But as a business owner, you kind of have to think about okay, what's happening with other BPOs in the industry?
Yeah,
What's happening with the other call centers? What's the emerging market for call centers? Because with BPOs, with outsourcing, it's not just really in the Philippines. You're actually competing with other businesses around the world, and there's always an emerging market of countries where the call center is the call center business model is happening, and so you have to kind of think about it that way. It's a wider, again, big
that's true.
picture thinking, not just this is what you do,
Yeah,
right? You just do this, and you know that if you do XYZ, you're done for the day. With being a business owner, yes, you do XYZ and then do again
yeah.
ABCD.
And then you wake up in a cold
But
sweat.
also
You
think
wake up in
about
a cold
the
sweat because
numbers.
you dreamed about, scenarios, and you wake up in anxiety. I mean, let's bring it down to a lot, to simpler examples. Like, you don't sell halo halo at the beginning of December, right? You don't really want to talk
Mhm.
about selling halo halo in the beginning. That's business, and staying abreast of, like, when's the best time to,
The best,
when's the
yeah.
best time to do something like that. In the same case, I suppose here you don't really see ice cream trucks in the middle of winter, right? That's literally just business sense. It's just understanding that some products are seasonal, and thinking ahead about what to and when to sell. You know, in the same manner that, uh, what was it that happened? Businesses that were able to make big shifts. Kodak, when film and print sort of went away, a lot of those, photo printing businesses, some went away, and then some were actually able to adapt to the situation. They moved from film and print to digital cameras and printing, and right, and then Pentax did that thing where they actually created a new nostalgic sense of printing. What was that thing? Instax. Sorry, was it Instax? Did they say Pentax?
Yeah,
They
Instax,
and then they made
Polaroid,
Instax
Snap. Yeah,
sort of like a hobby thing, as opposed to a necessity. So, being able to read the winds of change and understand what needs to happen for your business to ride the next. And, we're still thinking about, oh, what's gonna happen in the outsourcing industry, with the advent of AI. We're still kind of still doing that.
Yeah.
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 And sometimes that's very hard because it can occupy a lot, you know. I mean, people weren't lying when they said you're, you know, be careful about, you know, marrying a business, or making Joa a business owner because you're marrying somebody where you come second.
Way. So really? No,
Yeah.
I think it's
No,
okay.
I'm not.
I'll
I'm
leave it at
Yeah.
that.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not gonna lie. Like half of my, I, you know, just let's just be honest. Like some people are maybe good at compartmentalizing, but look at it this way: in the morning, maybe you're good at not at hiding it, but you know, if you were reading newspapers, you'd be doing that with your morning coffee. You'd be reading about news and business
Mm-hmm.
trends even on weekends. When you talk to friends, your idea is to move on to business. And that's really what's also happening to us right now. That's the reason why our friendship group shifted from regular normal friends. I mean, we're not
Oh
talking about
yeah.
family, but a lot of the people that you talk to now, because that's the main thing that's happening on this side of your brain. You know, it's like,
Yeah. I
oh,
agree.
how's your business? How's your, you know, how, what's going on in your end, or has this been happening to you, that you'd rather choose friendship groups that you have now have similar interests with? How do you think we're so good?
Yeah.
We're very good friends with the friends that we have now because they're similar interests, which is in fact their own businesses as well. So you're basically just yada 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 about you know, it you're, I don't know if you're admitting that yet, but you're really just talking business day in
No,
and day
no,
out.
yeah, I no, that's a that does make sense. Like even the people that you surround yourself with also changes because of the
Yeah.
mindset, right? Because you've if previously your like work as just one part of you, your business or
Mhm.
businesses is a big part of your life. The only reason I was, hesitant to like I was kind of pushing back earlier was I thought it was more because of priorities, right? Whether you prioritize your family life and you try to compartmentalize that. But then again, who am I to say that, right? I mean, I do have kids and sometimes I can't compartmentalize, like I'm on mommy duties right
You
now, right? Sometimes
compartmentalize
I
the
can do
mommy
that, but sometimes
duties.
yeah, the mommy duties, yeah. But I do understand like the network, even the network. As a business owner, that also changed for us, where we sought out people who would understand where we are right
Yeah.
now, where we can actually talk to
Yeah, and imagine
about the things that we're going
imagine
through.
going back to, imagine thinking about your 20s when you were hanging around people who were like, I wouldn't say, let's I mean, everybody was a deadbeat at some point of their lives.
Oh no, they're not.
No, I'm
It's just that they had different,
no,
like
I'm
their
calling it that way. I'm
priorities
calling it
are
that
to
way
get a
for,
paycheck.
no, I'm calling it that way for the sake of exaggerating. I was, you know, at some point I was a deadbeat and
I was never a
okay,
deadbeat.
fine, ikaw. Okay, fine. I mean, if you're calling, if you're in a dead end job,
I think we used to call it like you parked.
oh no, you parked. Okay, fine. But
You parked.
so if
Yeah.
imagine you're working at a dead end job and you're in a group
Mm.
of friends who are in their own dead end jobs, and the thing that you talk about is like, oh my god, my boss was such a prick, or like our business was like this and they did that, and you're just, you know, you just shoot the shit, right? And talk about,
Mm.
imagine if your friends, if you made friends with people like that now, right?
Yeah, we
You would.
wouldn't.
I'm not saying that you wouldn't be able to
It's going to be
imagine it.
hard.
Yeah, imagine
It's going to be
hearing.
hard to relate.
Yeah, imagine hearing
Yeah,
that
already.
kind of conversation around them, like, oh my god, hi, what happened? Oh yeah, like my boss made me stay like 2 hours after work. It was such a, that's not really the kind of shop, not shop talk. I keep forgetting. That's really not really the kind of conversation that you want to surround yourself with at the moment, right? So
Mm.
again, just the fact that you're uh, not just, and you're really doing it for your own business as well, because you want to surround yourself with the people who, you know, who can uplift you or give you guidance, mentorship. Uh, you take all of that because you apply it back to your own business. Like if you're just
Yeah.
again, going back, like I worked clerical. Is it clerical, like working in front of the shop, like
Yeah, receptionist. This is no,
receptionist?
I don't think it's clear.
Like,
You
hi,
call it
welcome to
clerical, administrative,
administrative jobs.
maybe administrative. Yeah,
We've
yeah,
done that, and there was a point in my life where I was doing that, and I was with my friends like that. Like, we didn't really care about the business. We cared about, the week ending.
the paycheck. Yeah,
We couldn't wait until the next paycheck. We couldn't care any less like how the business was doing. We
yeah,
did our
true.
thing, and then we got home, and then you surround yourselves with people like that, and you couldn't really imagine not even hanging around with your own manager, for crying out loud, right? So
Yeah, I think for me, well, apart from what you're saying, the last thing that I would just inject in this, and because now that even in our, well, we're about to sleep, we're thinking about the business and everything. A huge shift for me as well is like time management. When I was an employee, you clock in 9 to 5, you're done, bye. Right? As a business owner, like the time management part has become really, really important for me.
yes.
And that's the reason why we have an EA
Yeah.
now,
Well, more
because it's
importantly,
getting
you could
harder
have
to.
been sorry. Just
Mhm.
before you continue that, it was your choice to work as long or as because you have some employees who actually
Yeah,
just like coming to the office, you know, staying, coming in an hour earlier if that's their thing. If you're married, you couldn't wait to like clock in on time, clock out on time, and then that's the
and be done
priority to
with
be done.
the day. I mean, as a business owner, you can still definitely do that, but there are going to be moments where your team needs you,
Yep.
right? Especially if you're starting out, or if you're a solopreneur, and so time management is key, especially if you have a
Yep.
family like me. So I have kids, so like time management has been, like, I don't think I have it down
To a
yet
science.
to what it needs to be, but I do have down to a science, but I do think it's becoming like a larger issue for me to kind of tackle and try to figure out how I would go about it compared to when I was an
Yeah.
employee,
Are
and making sure that I'm productive every day and handling several topics and issues that are coming in and out
yes.
every single week.
I would say there's that, remember there's that book about that I was kind of hoping, are we ever going to get to that point? Like was it the 48-hour work week? I think that was specifically, was that the name of the book?
The 4 hour work week, 4 day, 4 hour, I think 4 hour work week. Tim Ferriss?
I think so.
Yeah,
The 4 hour
4 hour work
work
week.
week. Tim Ferriss,
Uh,
yes. And I think that's specifically, uh, you know, targeted to uh, how you can escape the 9 to 5. It's meant, was it for business people? I'm really trying
yeah, it is. It does say also to outsource
to
if you want to
outsource. Yes, by zero
outsource.
management even more.
Just shamelessly plugging what we do.
Yeah, and that's just,
But yeah,
although that was also funny. I think
mhm.
that was, wait, now that I'm thinking about it, was this a scam? Because you know how they found out this one employee who was outsourcing his
Yeah,
six figure income. That's not what we're talking about. It was outsourcing it to somebody in China. I mean, imagine the especially now the impact of in terms of geofencing. But I think more than that, it's really trying to reclaim uh
time.
time. And I think some business owners have, like, some business have paid their dues. Uh, by
Yeah. Or have built their businesses that way where they can afford to just work 4 hours,
yeah,
five
yeah,
hours. And that's the beauty of being a business owner. Like, you do have some sort of control over over your work hours.
yes.
You do. But then of course it also depends where you are
It depends on where you
in
are.
your
Like, can you
business
afford
journey.
to do that? Or, but again,
Mm,
ultimately, you know, honestly, it's just the buck will still stop with you. It will still end
yeah.
with you, no matter how efficiently you do that. When the shit hits the fan, you're you're the fan. the you'll have to be the one dealing with it anyway. I mean, I just
Mm-hmm.
realized whoever coined that idiom. I don't know why. Uh, but still, you have the responsibility, the control to work as much as you want to, or as much as little as you need to. But the most
Yeah.
important thing is how, if your business is going to survive, it's because you did, you planned, you grew, you structured your company to be able to handle you not being there. Or maybe at the end of the day, maybe the best thing for the business to happen is for you not to be there. I mean, who knows, some people probably understood that more importantly, and then, I mean, honestly, Stephen Bartlett resigned as CEO at 27, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he did.
I mean, sorry, I still haven't finished that whole book, but you'll realize that they made a decision so he can do other things maybe, but regardless, regardless, he planned for it to happen that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's on your mind?
Yeah. No, I think we've kind of covered this topic quite
Yep.
extensively. To be honest, quite extensively. We've talked about the scope of responsibilities with employee versus business
Yes.
owner, like big picture thinking. We've
The
also talked
shift,
about that. Risk taking is also,
the
yeah,
actual
risk
shift. Yeah.
taking is all. We've also talked about the actual shift from like what you're thinking about, right? Like and whether you need guidance, and even we've actually even talked about the shift in the network or the friends
Yes.
that you surround yourself with. Like we went as far as that.
Yeah, but I guess the
If
question
you're a
is,
business. Mhm.
how do you actually make that shift? Because a lot of people, like I said, I guess they try to do that, like step in the waters. We talked about it earlier. They try to dip your toes in the
Mhm.
water. You try to get a business to sell, but you're still holding on to your job, and then you try to determine when I should actually make the leap. I mean, it's harder. I guess it's easier if you're financially stable as a person. I guess let's talk about that a little bit.
Mhm.
Yung the different factors that could affect you when you should do it. Because I will, some people just say, take a leap of faith, right? But it's very, very hard to take that leap of faith if you have three mouths to feed, right? When you have three mouths to feed with an idea that could pay off possibly big time if you
Mhm.
succeed, right? But also, what are you gonna do with you know, if you sold off all of your possessions and then you tried to put up a business and then it failed?
I think for me the and because I do have kids, I think what happened with us for Virtua was the safest
Mm-hmm.
route for me. um that I didn't just leave one like a steady paycheck just to start a business. We kind of did it simultaneously. We had our own contracts, and then we had Virtua. I think that was the safest, and I don't think I would have just jumped into entrepreneurship without having
Yeah.
a backup plan. And again, because this is me being cautious. But as far as the shift goes, whether to kind of, okay, this it really really comes with being self-aware about what your weaknesses and
Mm-hmm.
strengths are. Because running a business is, again, as we mentioned earlier, it's not just what you're doing like what I mean is, it's not just one scope, it's not just one job responsibility or one job position, it's
Mm-hmm.
everything. And so when it comes to self-awareness with weaknesses and strengths, sometimes you do need to build a business and you do need to partner with someone who is complementary to your
Hey,
weakness or strength. Right. Right, which is actually, yeah, we'll talk about partnership in
we
another
have to talk about
podcast and
partnership
how
in a
it
different
has worked for
conversation,
both
because I
both
I
of
don't think,
us. Yeah, we'll fight it
yeah,
out.
I don't think,
But no,
I'm sorry, I was gonna say, I don't think it's easy to discuss that, like, find the yin to your yang, but that's not exactly what we're talking about. It's really
Mm.
more, the because I will caution everybody when somebody said, take a leap of faith, Nike, just do it. I understand maybe that advice is for somebody who has nothing to lose. If you lose all your money and
Yeah.
it's easy enough for you to go back to your parents' basement, not basement, go back to your parents because they'll be and they said it's okay, you do that, we'll support you, and if it fails,
We'll
come back,
support
right?
you.
But if you've built your life around, you've married, you have 3 kids, and you're basically supporting your family, you can't really take that family and go, sorry, mom, my business failed. It's probably a hard thing. Try to consider those things. If you want to take that leap of faith, maybe you have to be financially capable to. You have that financial runway
Yeah.
for yourself personally to not need financial assistance for, how long did you benchmark your business before it could run, which could be a great motivator, because if you see yourself, say, I'm giving myself 12 months and I have money for 12 months, then you can see those savings dwindle. you know and you see the savings dwindle. That's a great kick in, or that's a great motivator to say, I need to make things happen. So, uh I guess that's the only thing that I would have to say about that. Like, if you're taking that leap of faith, do you really believe in your product that much? Do you really believe in your business idea that much that you think it's worth doing it? But also, let's go back the little route. It's not, the word is not to sleep on it, but also maybe, say a little prayer, examine your conscience. Do you think this is the right thing? Because some people can be blinded by their own sense.
It's
Yeah,
the vision.
was it overconfidence? Is it overconfidence, or do you just believe in the product that much? But if you have anything to add to that, I guess those are my final thoughts on the matter. If you're somebody who's really considering that, think about it 10 times before you take the leap. If you have nothing to lose, then by all means, jump jump on it, because you'll never really know, if a business is going to succeed unless you actually try doing it. A moment of silence for our dead brain cells.
A moments of silence to kind of think about should you jump into a business or not. And before you do jump into your business, do think about what you do need to change in terms of your mindset. What, and really think about what you need to be or who you need to be so that your
Yeah.
business will thrive. So I think that's a wrap for today's episode of Outsourcing and More. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot from it. If you haven't, please hit the subscribe button. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and
And if you have any
YouTube.
questions, love to drop it in the comments below. But more importantly, if you have any questions you'd like to drop us an email about it, please email us at oam@virtualsolutionsos.com. Once again, it's oam@virtualsolutionsos.com. We're happy to hear your emails, your thoughts, your comments. If you have any further questions, we're not an advice. We try to give advice. We're happy to give advice. But are we an advice corner? Maybe. Why not? But we'd love to hear from you.
You're always an advice corner. But thank you so much again, everyone, for listening and tuning in. See you on the
This has
next
been Outsourcing
episode.
More.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, girls and guys, and
In between.
everyone. Bye.
Subscribe to our podcast.
We also have a YouTube channel where you can see the faces behind the voices.
You can also find Virtual Solutions on Facebook and LinkedIn.
And if you've got a topic you've been wanting to learn about, let us know by sending us an email at
oam@virtualsolutionsos.com. Again, it's oam@virtualsolutionsos.com.
see you in the next episode.
Goodbye.
Bye.